Board of Commissioners meeting. I thank you for everyone for being here. This morning, we're going to have Mr. Rodney Helderman from the Word of Life Church in Bicknell giving our opening prayer. Morning, Rodney.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Let's pray, shall we? Heavenly Father, thank you so much for another beautiful day. Thank you, Lord, for watching over us and bringing us health. Lord, we pray for all those who are sick this morning. We just lift them up to you, Lord, because we know that the health of the body is much, but also, Lord, the health of our community is very important. And we just ask God for your blessing to be with us all this morning. Thank you for this meeting. Just ask you to help it to edify your name. We just pray, Lord, that you give us direction to know how to govern states of this Daviess County. Just ask you to give wisdom to these men and ladies who help govern our county. So we just give you thanks for your guidance, and we praise you for this day in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Hey, thank you. Everyone should have received a copy of the January 23rd meeting minutes. Did you see any changes, Ron?
I saw no changes.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. Next up, I think we may have Rich here from the Highway Department. Rich, if you want to come on up. Don't be shy. You can do it. We won't make you talk much. Chris is not feeling well, so.
Yeah, good morning. I was told I wouldn't have to speak.
You're not. You just stand there and look pretty, and we'll.
Yeah, Chris is fighting the flu bug. He said he's never laid around in bed like he has now, so he gets better soon.
Well, in high school he did, but we won't go that far.
I didn't know him back then.
Yeah, I did. I knew him well. All right, tell you what, we'll jump right in here. We got the old salt building bids. Whenever we, just kind of a quick recap, when we built the new salt building, we got an appraisal on the old salt building here in Washington with the intent of just putting it up for auction. We did not get any bids for that.
Initially, we didn't get any bids, and then we extended it an additional approximate month, and we've got 2.
So we got 2 bids now, and so we'll go ahead and have Grant open those.
I know I've had quite a few calls and just interest in this, but we do only have these 2 bids. I know Mr. Goodwin is here. Is anybody else here about this? So these bids are available for public inspection hereafter. It'll be the commissioner's decision on how they want to handle it. Ultimately, we're trying to maximize what we're getting out of that property if they do choose to move it. Now, you could also reject all bids if you don't like what's being proposed, and if you do that, you have to specify why you're rejecting the bids. Okay. This one's from Delta Bravo. Purchase price of $61,000. Okay.
Are there any names associated with that? I'm not familiar with Delta Bravo.
Daviess. Dusty Davis.
Okay.
Used to be him and Mr. Bean, and now it's him and Mr. Dashner. Mr. Goodwin. $75,000. From Mr. Goodwin and Mywin Rentals. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify that in the notice of intent to sell real property, we specify the code section there, Indiana 36111-4. We also asked interested bidders to articulate their purpose and future use of the property. clarified that the buyer would be responsible for closing costs and that we would prorate property taxes. Only certain persons are eligible to put a bid in. These bids are available for public inspection at this point. The commissioners wouldn't have to move ahead with these necessarily. We also did say in here that the minimum bid for the described property is $95,000. That was the midpoint of 2 appraisals that we had. And obviously, we didn't get $95,000. So, well, with that, I don't know if there's any discussion or questions you all would want to have. If you choose to fall under that code section, there's an opportunity for people to raise their bids. There's an opportunity to use an auctioneer if desired. And again, ultimately, it's trying to get the most out of the building if you're choosing to move it.
Okay. Any comments?
My understanding that if you don't get the bid, minimum bids, that we're free to sell it at whatever price we want. In other words, because nobody bid the minimum bid, aren't we open to award it to what would be the highest bidder?
We did set a minimum bid here.
What happens if you don't get that bid?
Well, really, neither of these have met, the intent, the notice of intent here.
Right.
And so, I mean, if you still want to move it, that would be your prerogative to still move it.
I guess my question is, could we award it right now if we wanted to? And I'm not saying we should do that. It should be taken under advisement. But because we did not receive the minimum bid, aren't we free to award it to the highest bid we have?
We're supposed to follow that statute, and if we don't get to that threshold, I would say that we would want to at least wait and reevaluate what you're doing, because nobody met that threshold.
I think what we could do, Ron, we set that threshold because we want to sell the property for what it's worth, so we set that threshold. So I think the commissioners, if we wanted to get rid of that property, we just simply go in and change that threshold and remove it and just simply put it to the highest bidder.
But we can do that now
If we
because
wanted to
the
do
law states you have to have 2 appraisals, and that's the average of 2 appraisals. But since we didn't get that,
Right.
now we're free to.
There's an opportunity to hire an auctioneer too, just to try to up the ante and try to get people. You wouldn't have to hire an auctioneer, but you do have an obligation to try to achieve the highest amount under that particular code section.
See, I mean, when we started this like six months ago, the thought was we don't want any excess property. So if we can get it for market value, then great. With the courthouse project and just kind of future thinking here, and I see Laura Petty in the room, so I hate to get the horse out of the stable, so to speak, but down the road, community corrections is probably gonna be the next facility that needs to be renovated. So, I think the commissioners need to take this under advisement, and is that parcel of land better used for a future community corrections location for future commissioners and not this board of commissioners. So I'm not saying it's gonna be anytime soon, but having that real estate could be advantageous down the road, so. So let's go ahead and, I'd entertain a motion, go ahead and table this, take it under review, and get more of our questions answered, and then we can put it on the next meeting's agenda.
Yeah, just for the sake of clarity, neither of these reached the minimum bid threshold specified here.
Is there a motion to table?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Arnold, I'll second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. Thank you.
And Alan, you can look at those if you don't mind, just leave them for the auditor, yeah.
Okay, next up, we've got the LPA clean voucher here for the countywide bridge inspection program. It's in the total amount of $95,242.48, and it is 80% reimbursable. So it's from SJCA. If there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. Hey, Rich, you're doing a great job so far. All right, next up, we got Be Wise Consulting.
That's just a contract for some consultation,
The safety
permit
data sheet.
processes, yeah.
Yeah, so this is for all the MSDS,
Required by the federal government.
OSHA and chemicals and all that stuff, so. It's in the amount of $4,048. And it'll be coming out of the highway budget, so. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Arnold, do we have I'll second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 2-0. All right. That's for some project updates. I'm gonna put you on the spot just for a bit, so.
We're doing some pothole repair patchwork that unfortunately the winter time seems to do real well at. Salt sand building is in construction. We set trusses last week for the lean-to portion that goes to the south, and looks like they're getting ready to set trusses on the main part here real soon, so
Okay.
work in progress, I guess, but it is started.
And then the old salt building, I mean, fortunately, we haven't had to use much this year, so I mean, is our plan just to deplete that building as we need it, or are we gonna physically move?
You know, as far as the commodities inside,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll just move them. It'd be my anticipation just to, when we're ready to move it over there, when the building's completed, we'll just, if there's any salt sand there, we'll just move it over to the other building, and then there's some equipment down there that'll have to move to.
okay. But we're not expecting any more deliveries of salt and sand to the building?
As of right now, no, we restocked it here after that last couple of snowstorms we had there. It's stocked full just to be prepared.
Okay.
But that shouldn't be an issue to move it out of there. That time comes.
Good. Brian, any questions?
How long do you think it'd take to clear that building?
I would have to think we could do it. There's a lot of stuff in there that's been in there in the past from, I think, came out of the courthouse.
A lot of junk.
Yes, for better words, yes. You know, that it wouldn't take us that long. I would assume a week, you know. I don't think that would be out of the realm.
Okay. Sounds good. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Okay, next up, Nathan Grimm from West Boggs. Good morning, Nathan.
All right, you guys are interested in hearing about some grants, correct?
We are.
So I've applied for two large ones. The first would be the Lake and River Enhancement Grant. That should come into play about June. So that is an 80-20 management team over there at Lair and convince them to allow a larger project with us. Typically, there's a $100,000 cap in the history for dredging. So we were able to get that changed, which is pretty exciting. So what this is for is to dredge the two sediment basins that drain into West Boggs. So there's one that's about 14 acres, one that's 17 acres. We may or may not do one of these at a time, but I'm almost certain that they will award this money. The reason we're doing this, I just feel like the lake treatments aren't really working. We closed the lake in July last year to swimming. I anticipate that happening again. We just don't have the funds to really combat the whole algae problem at one time. So in the past, we've been treating about 1/6 of the lake. I think this is a more long-term approach. So this way we're able to dredge out that area, allow the sediment to settle out before it hits the lake. The algae is feeding on phosphorus. The phosphorus comes in the sediment, so if we're able to dredge those out, it's going to settle out in those basins before it reaches the main body of water. In addition to that, I'm looking at actually an enzyme treatment this year, so somewhat unrelated to the grant, but it was actually first formulated for hog manure waste in pits, and it kind of eats all that detritus and dead material, which is kind of what we got going on in those basins, so I think that'll help kind of mitigate the phosphorus and algae as well. So again, that one should hit about June or July. Doesn't give me an exact answer. Do you have any questions on that one?
No, I did not. And you said you had the 65,000 on hand?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that'll come out of our lake enhancement fund. And again, I mean, it should be noted that I'm going to do less lake treatments this year, but I think it's a good thing overall.
Okay, good.
The second is the Ready Grant, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. I had kind of a larger ask for that one, $11,686,980. So there's a number of different projects that I submitted for that, which I believe I gave to you guys there. So the way this works is they gave example projects to the IEDC. They've either done it this month or will be doing it in February. They're not going to know if our region has been allocated any money until April. I would assume that it is. And then they said that'll be early June before we know if our project is selected. So I've been in contact with Marin Harris. She's the administrator for that grant, to the point where I think I annoyed her. So I haven't checked for a couple weeks, but they definitely know we're asking. So I believe you guys got emailed a list of projects there. I don't want to be redundant if you've looked it over. Is there any
Ask to the
Sure.
Ready Grant. I mean, and again, I have no, I think it's 500 million that's gonna be divvied up from the different regions, so
Yeah,
I don't know, say there's 8 regions, there's 60 million per region,
sure.
and then each region's probably gonna have 12 counties, so that's 5 million per total county, and that's some fast math there.
Sure.
And we're asking for 11 million?
She kind of just said list all the projects, and then they'll decide which ones are relevant and which ones aren't. So that's kind of why I did it that way.
Okay.
I don't anticipate we'd get anywhere near that total. It'd be great if we did, but if they fund a couple of the projects on there, that'd be great.
Yeah, I just didn't want him to open it and just kind of chuckle and shut it,
Yeah.
So they're gonna,
That's kind of how they wanted me to do it.
They did,
So
okay.
They said that it was actually better to ask for more money, is what they told me. I don't know why.
Makes them aware of what the needs are, and they
She
want
said, yeah, the bigger the
anything and
proposal, the
everything
more they'll look
listed.
at it.
yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask. Great.
I don't anticipate that total. That'd be wonderful, but
Yeah, sure. No, great work. I mean, you brought a lot of passion to the park, and
thanks.
the Conservancy District, are we making any progress on?
We are. I've got a couple holdups there. So something you guys. I want this back. This is a map of where we're looking at for the Conservancy District. So we've been working with TAF Law, as you guys know. They ingeniously decided that the area below the dam would also be included. So that's not something myself or the park board thought about. However, that yellow area on that map really depends on the lake itself. So that's the area that would flood if the dam broke. So those folks do depend on West Boggs and the lake there. So the green area on that map is the folks draining in. That's about 8,400 acres. The rest of it's yellow and mostly Martin County. And that'll be the folks that will also be included for that reason, which again I think are probably an easier sell because their houses literally depend on the dam. The holdups right now are that I'm getting the park appraised, so I've been working on that. Been told that's about 6 months. So the reason for that is we need about 51%, or we do need 51% of the freeholders' land value to vote yes in order for this to pass. I think it'd be a mistake to not get the park appraised. There's $100 million there and more, so I think our vote would count.
Okay.
So we would make sure that that's appraised by both counties. So they told me about 6 months on that unless we hire somebody. The other holdup, I've had a heck of a time getting the parcel information from Martin County. So I'm working with WTH on that to get those accurate parcels. And then there's a couple land disputes over easements and things like that, obviously to mitigate legal issues in the future of who's going to be included and who's not. We got to rectify some of those. So other than that, those are kind of the main hinge points. That's going to take a few months, but I think it'll be within a year.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Good work.
thanks.
All right, back to the 2 grants. I guess we just need an official motion of support from the commissioners. I don't see any signature lines here. That's fairly accurate. Okay. Ron?
I appreciate your efforts. That's a huge issue up there, and it's a huge benefit to the community.
Yeah, I
I'll
hope
be
we get
glad
it
to
fixed.
make the motion of support.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'd be glad to second that motion. So we've got a motion to support both grants by Commissioner Arnold, and I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job, thanks.
All right, next up, the eclipse preparation update.
That's here.
Okay, how much of an update? You guys good? Okay. You good?
You're good.
I'm good. Okay.
It's
They've
April
been
8th.
sending out emails giving updates.
I've been
so-
seeing the emails coming through, so
They're working on it.
thanks, Nathan.
Is that April 8th, right? It's a Monday.
It's Monday. So Monday afternoon, I believe. All right, well, I was want put it on here just as a standing item, just make sure everything's still moving forward. Next up, we got the JRAC proposal. Vanessa, good morning.
Vanessa Phillips, I'm actually the chair of the JRAC, which is the Justice Reinvestment Advisory Council. I have Laura Petty here, as well as Steve Sturgis and Brandon Smith. They are members of the JRAC. Brandon Smith is actually the vice chair, and Steve Sturgis is our point of contact. Are you familiar with the JRAC?
I'm somewhat familiar with it, but maybe just a 2-minute.
Quick overview. So the JRAC is a commission of stakeholders, key community stakeholders. It's created by legislation, HEA 1068, which is the local JRAC statute, which requires the establishment of a local JRAC. So the state created a state JRAC with key state officials that are different stakeholders within the criminal justice system. And after efforts, they created legislation that then required local counties to establish their own JRACs. We have been formed for a while. We are now in the process of finalizing our bylaws, vision, mission, and vision, and values statements to kind of solidify our, I guess, requirements as a JRAC, and we're receiving some technical assistance on that. The purpose of the JRAC is to promote evidence-based and best practice decision-making in regards to the criminal justice system, looking at sentencing alternatives, reduction of recidivism. So we have the prosecutor's office, judges, community corrections, probation, the jail, law enforcement, and different county and city stakeholders that would be involved in helping make those decisions and come up with evidence-based practices that would help improve our system as it stands. The reason why we're here today is because of, as you're aware, we have the opioid settlement funds. We're working on trying to kind of structure our system in that we can promote the best practices and evidence-based practices by different efforts that are being pushed out from the state down to the local areas, and the opioid settlement funding is a tool that we can utilize locally here in the community. We've taken this from other local JRACs, specifically Cass County was a model we were looking at that currently operates in this manner, which I'm proposing here today. So we're looking for the opioid funds to be allocated under the jurisdiction of the JRAC to help make recommendations regarding proposals that would be submitted to us. Laura's working on a website that is similar to the other county pages that would have information about our JRAC. It'd have our meeting minutes posted, our meeting times, so that way we're following open door policies in regards to the statutes with that, and that local entities that are interested in obtaining funding for evidence-based practices could submit proposals to our JRAC to review, and then manage those proposals if they're awarded funding from the opioid funds, from the restricted funds. For the unrestricted funds, as a JRAC, there's lots of training opportunities. As key stakeholders, we come from different organizations, and so those funds could promote travel and training for us as stakeholders to learn and become educated as a team to help us drive those evidence-based decisions that we're trying to collectively make as a team to help improve our criminal justice system here in Daviess County.
How much was the settlement, and what is restricted and what's unrestricted?
So that varies. There's an Excel spreadsheet that was outlined, I believe, in the end of 2020, 22, that kind of highlights over the next 10 years the amount of money that Daviess County is projected to receive, broken down into the categories of restricted and unrestricted. I don't have those numbers in front of me today.
I just remember there was a state number and then like counties get,
When 23 funds went together, and we got, it was roughly 200 and something $1,000 for those 2 years. And DARAC, not JRAC, there's a lot of acronyms, we did those proposals last year and distributed that money, because our JRAC wasn't fully active yet, so that's why we did that. Now DARAC is wanting JRAC to handle it like all the other counties in Indiana. This year, the unrestricted funds are about 10,000 something, and their restricted funds, I think, is around 30 or 40,000. So it's significantly less each year. It's just going to go down each year. But the website is a part of the Daviess County website. Dale just built me a page, and I'm
Okay.
editing that page. And
So is there a reason we still have the two acronyms?
well, it's a totally different.
Totally separate totally separate consortium. So the
Yeah.
DARAC is the Daviess Advances Recovery, Daviess Advances Recovery Access Consortium. So that is a consortium that's of like different mental health and substance use treatment providers that gather to just break down silos and share information and happenings within the community. The JRAC is implemented by statute and is mandated to follow the open door policies in regards to meetings and sharing of public information.
Yeah, whenever I hear acronyms and statutes, those two words always kind of quiver a little bit, because at the end of the day, it's hard. You ask anyone what do they do, and it always gets a little vague. So I just want to make sure we keep this as crystal clear and as refined as we can, because just because a statute was passed doesn't mean we have to pass another acronym. And if we can do it better in Daviess County, especially since, you know, all these people that are on JRAC, and they all interact pretty well together, and I just want to make sure that we.
Yeah, the DARAC was formed in 2019, and that was a part of a grant that we got with IU that we formed to help with those grants. And JRAC, like I said, our county wasn't really active with that. It had been formed, but it wasn't really doing anything. So that's why I feel like JRAC should be in charge of the opioid settlement like it is across Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I mean, I would like the commissioners to be the final say on any disbursement, because we get all this free money, we think it's free, and then, you know, obviously we're all paying at the pharmacy for these settlement dollars. And I mean, it's talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, and theoretically we could be funding some already budgeted items with this money, and lessening the burden on our budget.
So there is an Exhibit E that the restricted funds has to follow, which was released when the opioid settlement funding was released, which requires the restricted funds to be spent toward different evidence-based practices in regards to substance use disorder practices.
So on this evidence-based, who sees the evidence? Who's the evidence presented to? Because I hear that phrase a lot, meaning that it's evidence-based, so why question it? So is there a way to see the evidence?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
So if something is evidence-based, how do we see the evidence?
So specifically, for an example of what is an evidence-based practice, so drug courts, for example, are an evidence-based practice that has been studied over the last 25 years of the first implementation in Florida for a problem-solving court. So data was collected or has been collected over the last 25 years to support how those type of intensive problem-solving
To
courts
show
can
that it
help.
works. So,
Correct.
So where's that information at? Where's that data at?
It's shared with the institutes that are.
Do we have the data?
Not in front of me today, no.
Okay,
But that's just an example.
But we do have the data.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to get off track there. I just want to because we hear the evidence base and we just stop thinking and go to the next step. And that's, I just want to make sure we're reviewing the evidence, just to make sure that it's, we can relate it to Daviess County and make it even better, so.
Well, and anybody that submits a proposal for funds, has to have like detailed, a detailed plan of how they choose to, how they want to use that fund. And then
Okay.
there's reporting that's going to be required
Okay.
for the use of those funds, that we would present to you. And we would present the proposals to you if
Okay.
you'd like to,
And the
be
applicant,
in that decision-making.
and their proposal would have to fall in line with the Exhibit E, the different,
Okay, so, I don't have any, overall, I don't have any problems. I don't see Exhibit E. There's
I can email it to
there's
you.
a few grammatical errors in this paragraph that makes it a little challenging to follow. So maybe we should table this and, so I can maybe get a few more questions answered. Because on the second page, first paragraph, it's a little hard for me to follow that paragraph. But anyway, we don't need to dive into the grammatical aspect of it today, but, so you're asking us to go from DARAC to JRAC for the oversight of these funds?
Yes.
And JRAC stands for Justice Advisory Council.
Justice Reinvestment Advisory Council, yes. There was a request that was emailed out to our point of contact from
So,
someone.
I'm going by the second paragraph on the
Yeah, there's
first
just a
page.
number of typos. that
Justice
makes-
Advisory Council, JRAC, so it's Justice
Okay.
Recovery Advisory Council.
So let's do this. I need to know what the amounts are, because we have that spreadsheet, to see how many dollars we're even talking about. Because again, we don't want to split hairs, but if we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, then I want to kind of pull in the council a little bit too and just say, hey, are there any things we're funding over here that we can kind of co-fund, if you will? And there may not be anything, but I think we need to at least take a look at it, so.
No, but the other side of that, this is created by state legislature. It's their program, it's gonna be their rules.
Yeah,
For us to access those funds, we need to establish this.
yeah, I don't disagree, but then, what is their program, what is their rules, and how do we implement it? So it's,
We're not gonna change it, so I'd simplify it and approve it.
I can send you the amount that we have
Okay.
now in the county
But
account.
they always do this, they have
Sure.
a program, and then they tell you how to spend the money, and it really doesn't reimburse you for what you've already spent on the problem. So
okay. So, would you mind if we table this, and so I can maybe ask a few offline questions?
Yeah, and I would be more than happy to have the Exhibit E submitted in regards to
Yeah, the Exhibit E, the funding, and then if you guys can maybe go through this document again, there's just a number of things that need to
you
be.
have a deadline you're operating under?
No, so we're trying to just formalize the process for, like I said, I was trying to say we had received a records request, that, like I said, the JRAC has to follow the open door policy in regards to the posting of our meetings, the meeting minutes, and every JRAC across the state received that records request. And so then we started reaching out and looking at how other JRACs are operating in regards to
Yeah.
different activities that were happening in their
Sure.
community. And we kind of followed the model that Cass County was utilizing for their.
Okay. Yeah, no major opposition to the concept, just a few more questions. So, I'd entertain a motion to table the JRAC recommendation.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Do
Thanks,
you want us
ladies.
to hold off on talking about this?
I would.
Oh, we did.
Because if the council reads through this, they're gonna be, well, I saw 10 typos, and it doesn't make sense,
Okay.
at least not to me. It probably will to a smart guy like Tom, but,
I have no problem with it.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll revise it and,
See,
Come back to
so it
you.
clearly has some issues.
we'll come back to you and then we'll
Okay.
talk to the council about it, because, ultimately, you guys are gonna be the ones that are
Right.
helping us with proposals, and they're gonna be appropriating funds.
Right.
But if we don't form this, you won't be able to access the funds.
No, I mean,
The access is just day right.
we have access to it, we
You just
just
want a
can't,
process to
can't
work it.
ask to appropriate it yet until
Right.
we have
So
that blessing.
currently, every entity that would want to access the funds would have to come before you individually, and you would have to vet the
Yeah.
proposals and have an understanding of the Exhibit E.
That's why we wanted to have the proposal link on the website to submit to
Yeah.
JRAC's.
I wanted,
and bring
I
it
wanted
in.
to go through JRAC, and then I wanted to come to this board, but
We'll work on the
this isn't a
document.
good start. So let's clean this document up. We need Exhibit E, we need the dollar amounts, and we need these grammatical things fixed so we know what we're being asked.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, got the assessor, Crystal. Good morning, Crystal. Got a Kirk, what we got here, Kirk Boxell? Or Midwest Presort. Oh, okay, yeah,
Yep, it's just,
for Reform 11s.
yep, just trying to get my contract for Midwest Presort to send out Form 11s.
Okay. And this is information to the property taxpayers.
Required information on their assessed values that
Okay.
we supply every year, or should supply every year to the taxpayers, correct?
Good, so this $12,000 allows the taxpayers to be notified that your property taxes are increasing or decreasing or staying.
Not property taxes, assessed values,
Assessed, saying, so your assessed values are,
increasing or decreasing.
they'll have my
They are.
specific assessed value? on it?
Yes.
Okay, yes,
Yes, and then it also has the appeal process on there.
okay,
So they are notified of what the appeal process is, the dates that they need to have that turned in if they want to appeal,
okay.
and then, step by step what that process is like.
Okay, good. Sounds like good information that we'd all want. Ron, any questions?
Just, they're doing a service for us by mailing these out. They can do it cheaper than we can.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They're mailing out almost 20,000 Form 11s. I don't think we could do it in office.
Yeah.
No way.
The only other thing while you're up here is I noticed on the claims, there's a refund for Westwood Corporation.
There's a refund for West, you mean,
They
they
contested their assessment.
filed an appeal. Mhm.
Okay, so do you have any background information on that, or?
I believe that it was, they appealed on income. I would have to look.
If you
I
could-
had several, but,
Just get with me on that.
okay, no problem.
Okay, sounds good. I'd entertain a motion to approve the Form 11 agreement in the amount of $11,898.59.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Arnold. Do we have a second? I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Crystal. All right, next up, insurance, favorite topic. Paul, good to see you. Well, I appreciate all the emails over the weekend that helped clarify this. Was appreciated. First up, I think we got the cyber insurance policy.
Correct. And I don't know, there was a issue with the dental, I don't know if it's information has to be voted on, but we switched from, for HRI, the dental got bought out by Paramount. HRI did not offer any out-of-network benefits. We went out-of-network, you got nothing. Paramount does offer out-of-network benefits. Again, it doesn't pay the same as in-network. No additional cost to the employees, so I went ahead and said, go ahead and institute out-of-network coverage. So, does anything need to be done with that, or?
Yeah, that's a good
It's
point.
it's an added benefit at no cost.
Yeah, typically, like on the medical side, we're a little bit more inflexible as far as network versus non-network. But when it comes to dental and just the psychological impact that so many people have with dentists and oral surgeons, that it's hard to tell them to use a different oral surgeon. They're a little more complicated, I guess, just because of the anxiety. And there was a 50 cents per increase. I mean, I can't remember the number.
Actually, for this year, 0.
So it's a minimal increase.
Right.
And if they do go to an out-of-network provider, out of town, then it at least covers some of it. So I'd entertain a motion to make that change.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Cyber. work with a broker that all they do is cyber, and leave it up to him to help me guide this, because there's a lot of technology that goes into cyber. Dale knows that, and I work with Dale, and actually, I'll go ahead and give this to Dale. Coalitions who we have. Dale's put in some programs and out there. They've done a risk assessment, and the things that Dale has done has helped during insurance and plus potential cyber attacks, which is becoming more and more prevalent. If you see it, I'm going to kind of skip down there. See where it says MFA needed, and there's a list of insurance companies that would potentially offer coverage, but you have to implement the MFA, multi-factor authentication, which I'll be honest with you is a pain if anybody's dealt with it. There's a 2-tier to get into your system. Dale's working on some programs. I don't know if you're going to go institute that or not, but anyway, that's something that I'll talk to Dale about, see how you guys want to handle it. We do have 3 quotes anyway.
Yeah.
Without it. Coalition is who we had last year. They raised the rate about $1,000, but overall they're the best company. You can see the other 2 companies were quite a bit more, and they don't require the MFA. They did require certain technological advances from Dale, and he had implemented those, so we are getting a good price for the cyber. I will tell you, Coalition is the same company that the hospital has, and it's no secret that they ran into a issue. You can talk to April, and she was so tickled to death how Coalition jumped in within hours and, determined what was available. They worked with attorneys, worked with IT people, and they were very happy with the services Coalition. So you're with a good company. They're offering the best price, so I'd like to recommend we stay with.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Paul, and we'll kind of take these one at a time. Ron, you have any issue with
I met
coalition?
with Paul yesterday, and
You're
I'm
good.
comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think that the MFA is something we definitely need to go toward, especially with cell phone technology. Yeah, okay, good. I did entertain a motion to approve the coalition agreement.
So moved.
The motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 2-0.
Nathan, I laid up there, there's, it says sign here.
Yeah.
Sign here if you don't mind signing those 2 spots.
Gotcha.
That's what I need.
Okay, we got the Paramount Dental done already. And the workers' comp.
Kind of an easy one is where the state requires us to carry coverage for the third officers. Talk to Gary. Having reserve officers, people that do that, we do have to continue this coverage. It's only $908 a year, but it is a requirement.
Okay.
And, as long as the sheriff's department is using reserves, then
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the $908 for reserve deputy insurance.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 2-0.
And another program is the workman's comp. So over the last several years, we've been with IPEP. IPEP probably insures 80 to 85% of the counties in the state of Indiana. They've kind of had a good they do have a good program, not arguing that point. I have a list of agents that I deal with around the state, and we talk periodically so we can keep abreast of what's going on. And one of my agents said, hey, West Bend, which is a A-rated standard insurance company, decided they wanted to compete against the county, against work comp business. Anytime somebody's got 80, 85% of the business, sometimes you think, well, maybe somebody else can do it. So I reached out and got a contract with this company, West Bend, being an independent agent. I can reach out and get different contracts, so I did. West Bend did do an inspection. They do prior inspections, and I want to thank Sheriff's Department, Highway Department, Auditor's Department, opening themselves up for inspections. They, which is a compliment to Daviess County, they don't write, they don't bid on every county. And again, they do pre-inspections. They liked what they saw from Daviess County and offered us a quote. As you can see, IPEP came in at $212. West Bend came in at $201. The other thing that was an issue, I know, Nathan, you kind of maybe remember this, when that IPEP was a little frustrating. We're a county, we have a county hospital, county doctors, and they have their own network facilities that they like to use. They took one of our employees that did get hurt, but we felt like we could have got service here and asked them to go to a different county. I've talked to West Bend, and they're agreeable that DCH and the doctors here would be in their network of providers. They're offering a lower premium. We can use our own facilities, which makes sense, and they are a standard A-rated insurance company. So I would, again, to me, I think it's a better deal for the county in several instances, and would like to make that
Okay.
request to move.
The mod specifically, I mean, I know it's dropped in past years and it's up a little bit.
Yes.
Are there things that we should do to address that, or?
And I looked at it, and Ronnie and Nathan, you'll have an envelope in your, wherever they put your, I didn't want to present today because it does list names,
Okay.
and it lists all the losses that we've had over the last several years with the names, but it's all over the board. I mean, one of our biggest claims are people just slipping and falling, missing a step, or slipping on water. Now, we do have a couple, obviously, a few jail incidences. We have a few highway incidences, and it's all over the board. What we'll do is we'll send out a list of, not with names, but a list of the accidents that have happened in different departments, and just make them aware that, hey, here's what claims have happened. Maybe we can do something better to prevent. Again, somebody tripped over a heater and caused a bunch of damage. Just silly things like that happen, but that's what goes on sometimes. You got 200-some employees. Yeah,
and this is one of those, this is one of those areas in insurance where they got you no matter what. I mean, in 21, 22, we had $52,000 in claims, and we spent $175,000 in premiums. So then they take that $120,000 net gain and then increase our premiums for the next year. It's only been 1 out of 3 years where we actually cost them more than we paid.
Right.
But the mod rate still goes up. So
It is a 3-year average, so,
I can sit here and complain, or I can accept a motion to approve. I mean, that's our two options, right?
we did shop it, and there's,
You did. You didn't do anything wrong at all, and that is the issue that we had with IPEP 2 or 3 years ago, where that patient really wanted to stay local with their family doctor and had to physically go to Evansville because they had a physiatrist, which was the first time I even heard that word. It was a coordinator of doctors, or whatever they called it. And anyway, we definitely want to have more control.
Where our patients go, absolutely, especially since we have our own county hospital here, and
we want the
good
patient to
physicians.
decide. Okay. So we got West Bend, $201,172. I entertain a motion to approve.
Not only the claims, but also the inflation factor. So I'm kind of happy it didn't go up more than what it did.
Oh, dear Lord.
So I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. Oh, Paul, appreciate all your work on that. Thank you for all the information you sent over the weekend. So.
Yeah, well, it's tough to get here. One quick update.
Yeah.
I was really, really hoping to also have the package presented today. The package is also due. But as I reached out to companies, we do have to find a new carrier.
All for the property and casualty.
Property and liability. I gave people deadlines. They did not meet those deadlines. It's just my deadline. So I had to extend my deadline, and I got one quote Friday
Okay.
at 4 o'clock. The next quote I got was yesterday at
Yeah.
4 o'clock. I wish I could have made a presentation today, but we do have we do have two quotes,
Okay.
but it's just crazy. I need time to
that-
negotiate with the two different people. One's good on liability, one's good on property, and so.
Because that starts 3/1. Is there any way to make that a calendar year like our health benefits?
It used to be, and I'm not sure why we switched it to 3/1.
Maybe after this one, because every year, it's the first or second meeting in February that we're reviewing this. And, I mean, I guess if it's January 1, maybe we're reviewing in December instead, but it just seems like every year they're putting you in a corner.
I'll be honest with you, there's a lot that goes on January 1 for the
Yeah.
insurance companies. I don't know that
For health benefits.
my presentations would be a whole lot earlier. I mean, I start this thing way early because I want to be
I
here
agree.
today with those presentations.
I agree. March 1st makes more sense because your health insurance, you're finishing all that up. So you don't need anything on top of that. So, okay.
Well, unfortunately, I'll be back for next meeting,
Okay.
3 days before March 1st.
It would be great to see you again. At least you got a leap year. You got an extra day this year. All right, thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, we got the farm leases that have been reviewed. Let's see. Hi, Erica. So I met with Erica and Dave Gray. This is regarding the, basically have two leases, airport and highway. And at the highway, I think we have 3 leases because there's 3 parcels of land. So 2 leases.
2 at Highway, 1 at the airport.
So we'll continue to refine these, and on these titles, maybe going forward, maybe we do highway hay, highway tillable. I think that's how we notate them. And then Erica, I asked Erica regarding the airport property, on how we can kind of use them more as the admin side of it, since they're there all the time, so. Do you guys have any feedback or any questions on the bids that you
We
saw?
didn't get to have a board meeting. Quorum could not be met last week, but they did review both leases. They understand we should really go with the highest bidder, so they're good going with the, am I allowed to say
Keith
names?
Graber.
Yeah,
Black
the
Creek.
Keith Graber farm lease.
Okay. Here's the leases.
The one thing we ask is if the farmer can come to the airport and I can meet with him and show him land access points.
Okay,
And so he understands where he can and cannot go with his equipment,
okay.
because he would be new to farming this property.
This would be his first time.
Yeah, so we
It is
just
the
want to
same-
avoid any
Yeah.
confusion and conflict.
It's the same tenant at the highway department, so that should not be a problem at all.
Okay.
So.
Hopefully, next time it's ready to bid on this, we can get a little bit earlier jump and it can go a little bit smoother and
Okay,
get this all lined out.
yep. Sounds good. So we'll make a note when we reach out to Keith E. Graber and Son to make sure they reach out to Erica. On Farm Lease 1 and 2, we just received 1 bid each. Farm Lease 3, the recommendation from Airport's Keith E. Graber, which is the highest bid. If there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve all 3.
Motion.
A motion approved, motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 2-0. All right, Erica, thanks for all your help out there.
No problem, thank you.
Okay. All right, next up, we've got the election voting center rental agreement, and then also some pay adjustments for the Saturday in regards to the new pay rates. Lauren has this in her budget. She just needs us to approve and then sign the Armory rental agreements.
I'll make a motion to approve and
Okay.
sign the agreement.
Perfect. Motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 2-0. Next up, got the RTC Communication, West Boggs Fiber Project Grant. It looks like RTC is reaching out to the state regarding some deployment of broadband. They need a letter of support. The council is going to be presented with one, and then the commissioners are presented with one. So I'd entertain a motion to sign the letter of support.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 2-0. Okay, courthouse renovation update. I think we've got a number of documents that I'll sign here. So we've been talking quite a bit with Dale Riley and Grant and Jen over the past couple of weeks, just getting used to Garmon's process and how they want things signed, and just the Procore management tool that they use. So getting things streamlined. So there's a number of subcontractor bids that have already been approved in the overall bid package where the agreements have to be signed. So I'd like for the commissioners to entertain a motion to allow the president to go ahead and sign those, and then they'll just go on to the next commissioner meeting.
You're saying when there's an issue, when it's time sensitive, you would prefer that to be the case?
Yeah, we may not have this again, but in the past couple of weeks, I've got 3 or 4 emails saying, hey, where's it at, where's it at, where's it at? And we're like, well, we're waiting for the Board of Commissioners to approve it. And it's already been approved in the overall bid package. And if someone wants to read through the 98-page, AIA document, they can. But most of these are just a formality that a lot of vendor bids have.
I'm very familiar with Garmon, and they're managing the project for us, and that does streamline the process, so I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion is 2-0. Okay, and then we'll go through these after the meeting, make sure I got all those.
Yep.
Okay, so on that, we have a contract amendment authorization, the exterior window package, construction phase service authorization. Those will all be signed today. So I'd go ahead and entertain a motion to approve all of those.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 2-0. Okay. And next up, we wanted to bring in some gentlemen so that we could publicly recognize them. So much has happened over the past, I'm going to say the past 8 weeks specifically, regarding just the relocation, the movement. The courthouse is completely empty, and yet the judicial system is still fully functional today. And that would not have happened without a great team. There's a number of people, obviously Scott Schneier, Dale Queckenbush, the auditors team. But more importantly, we've got some gentlemen who really have been doing a lot of back-breaking work for us. And some of our work release gentlemen that are here, I've had a pleasure of meeting a couple of them during some of the days. They choose to do this. They don't have to help. But Scott, could you and your gentlemen please come up to the podium? And I've got more certificates than I do. See, it's Nicholas Dant, I believe, in the blue. Nicholas? Hassler?
Yes.
All right, I got you. I'm sorry, Joshua.
Josh Hashler, Nick Dan.
Excellent. Scott, you and Rodney really have worked with these gentlemen more than anyone. I mean, you want to kind of update us just some of
Sure.
the...
So, let me just read a little thank you here. Good morning, my name is Scott Snare, Maintenance Superintendent for Daviess County. Myself, along with Daviess County IT Director Dale Queckenbush, IT Department Nick Sparks and Jeff Riker, also Building Manager Rodney Moeller. We're tasked by the commissioners to coordinate and ready the space to transfer all courts, related offices, and employees to temporary spaces within the government center and security center. Today, with the last of the record books being moved over here, will mark the end of the move. That being said, there are a few people to thank for their help along the way. First, Sheriff Gary Ellison and First Deputy Steve Sturgis. They lent us whatever equipment we needed, when we needed it. It really would not have happened with the weather we had in January, the cold and the rain, and each day that these four guys were here. So also we took up two of their biggest meeting rooms at the security center. So thank you, you two. They, without this, it just wouldn't have been done within the deadlines. And jail commander Tommy Hamilton, who was always willing to let me have the road crew for the last 2 months. Without the people in this program, our jobs would be a lot harder. So we want to thank you, jailer and road crew manager Alex Hembry, who was unable to be here with us today. Crew members Nick Dant, Josh Hashler, Chris Hupp. These four guys helped us nearly every day throughout the cold weather in the last 2-3 months. So two more that were recently helpful was Bradley Ford and Robert Couch. So also deserves a thank you was Erica, the airport manager. She has been great to work with out the airport for the storage unit. So along with the commissioners, I'd like to thank each one of you. And it's been a big help in the move, along with Hudson's. But the two that's with us today is Nick Dant and Josh Hassler.
Wonderful. Thank you, Scott. Ron, do you have any comments?
I would check during the move and with different departments, and everything I heard about these gentlemen were very positive, very professional, courteous, and very back-breaking, so to speak, but certainly thank you.
Yeah, indeed. These gentlemen were inspiring to watch, just their spirit and just their commitment to serve and to help. And I always told them to keep their heads up because, you know, a lot of people are proud of you guys. So you guys are doing great work. And we got a couple of certificates, and we'd like to get a picture with you guys if you don't mind. So Nicholas and Josh, if you guys want to come on up. I think we're going to start a moving service, 2 men and a cart. You guys did a great job. Thanks again. And then we'll present Christopher Hupp and Brad Ford, who cannot be here today, and theirs as well. All right. Okay, anything else, Commissioner?
No.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion. Anything from the audience? Nothing? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve payroll claims and to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Arnold. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 2-0. Have a great week, everyone. Let's see. So, do I sign?